When you think of a first ballot, no doubt about it Hall of Famer, who comes to mind? A quarterback with a shelf full of rings? A receiver who shattered the record books? Maybe a pass rusher who lived in the other team's backfield? You probably don't think of an offensive guard. But for more than a decade, one guy played the position with so much power and unbelievable consistency that he was simply undeniable. We're talking about 12 Pro Bowls, 9 All-Pro selections, and a spot on the NFL's 100th anniversary all-time team. He was a nightmare for defenses, and his resume was so bulletproof he became one of the easiest yes votes in Hall of Fame history. This is the story of the guard who changed the game, Randall McDaniel. To really get what made Randall McDaniel a legend, you have to go back to the beginning. Because he wasn't your typical offensive guard. He actually showed up at Arizona State as a tight end, and before that, he was a track star. In high school, he was a phenomenal sprinter, reportedly running the 100-yard dash in the 10.6-second range, a speed that's almost unheard of for a future lineman. He had the kind of explosive athleticism you'd expect from a skill player, not a guy who lived in the trenches. So when the Minnesota Vikings drafted him 19th overall in 1988, they weren't just getting a lineman, they were getting a weapon. That track speed made him a devastating puller. While other guards were chugging along, McDaniel moved like a linebacker, gliding into space on screens and traps to just delete defenders from the play. He was such a freak athlete that the Vikings would even line him up at fullback on the goal line. It was that foundation as a sprinter and tight end that made him unlike any guard the league had ever seen. But you don't get a gold jacket with athleticism alone. McDaniel matched his rare physical gifts with an obsessive work ethic and nearly flawless technique. He was a master of leverage, hand placement, and footwork, a true artist in the muck of the trenches. First off, his power was just absurd. McDaniel didn't just block guys, he wanted to drive them 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. His whole philosophy was about blocking through his man, creating huge running lanes that his running backs loved. Over his career, he paved the way for a host of different 1,000-yard rushers. Then, there was his pass protection. McDaniel was famous for his strange-looking, wide-based stance, which he actually developed to take pressure off an injured knee. It looked a little goofy, but it made him an immovable anchor. He was so good that during the legendary 1998 season, some film studies credit him with giving up only around 1.5 sacks the entire year. And finally, you had his unmatched ability to block in space. This is where you could really see the tight end background. On sweeps and screen passes, McDaniel had the speed and agility to hunt down linebackers and safeties. Raiders legend Howie Long once said he pulls like a linebacker, calling him the quickest guard in football. That mix of power, technique, and speed was a problem defenses just never figured out. For a position defined by brutal, play-after-play warfare, McDaniel's most incredible feat might have been his consistency. He didn't just have a good year or two, he played at an elite level for his entire career. Starting in his second season, he was named to 12 straight Pro Bowls, which is still an NFL record for a guard. He was a 9-time All-Pro and an absolute Ironman, starting 202 consecutive games to finish his career. That relentless dominance was the engine for one of the greatest offenses ever, the 1998 Minnesota Vikings. With McDaniel anchoring the line, the Vikings scored an NFL record 556 points. That offense was loaded with stars like Randall Cunningham, Chris Carter, and a rookie Randy Moss. While the skill players got the headlines, McDaniel's quiet excellence was the engine room that powered the whole machine. When you put together a resume like Randall McDaniel's, there's only one place it can lead. In 2009, he was elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. His former teammate, Chris Carter, said it best, "Randall's greatness on the field is only outdone by what kind of man he is off it." On the field, his legacy is undisputed. He took a blue-collar position and made it a spectacle through a combination of elite athleticism and technical mastery. He was named to the NFL's 1990s All-Decade Team and, later, the NFL 100th Anniversary All-Time Team, putting him on the Mount Rushmore of the sport. As his former quarterback Brad Johnson said, he was the best to ever play that position. Best ever, all-time. Randall McDaniel proved that greatness isn't just for the guys who score the touchdowns. It can come from the trenches, from a player so consistently perfect that he becomes impossible to ignore. 12 Pro Bowls, 9 All-Pro honors, and a gold jacket later, he didn't just have a great career. He set the standard for what a guard could be. Now I want to turn it over to you. Where does Randall McDaniel rank on your list of all-time greatest offensive linemen? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, like and share this video, and click on the notification bell. And don't forget to click on the playlist above to watch more NFL Hall of Famers of his era. Thanks for watching.